Hi, welcome to Paint Coach. I'm Chris Fornatero here to help simplify oil painting so you can get better, faster. If you've seen any of my videos, you probably know that I have a Patreon page. And on that Patreon page, I offer in real-time painting video demonstrations. I'm doing full painting demonstrations of landscapes, portraits, still lifes, everything. And I'm talking and explaining what I'm doing every step of the way. I remember that the best painting teacher I ever had was the painting teacher that actually painted along with the class. Whatever we were painting, he was painting. And during the class, he'd pull us aside and show us for about 20 or 30 minutes what he was doing. And actually just seeing somebody go through the process was so valuable. So that's what I'm trying to replicate here with my Patreon. And to give you a better understanding of what it is, I'm gonna give you a free video from that Patreon here in this video. So let's jump on over to Patreon. So I wanted to give a little background information about this tutorial. It came about from talking to a lot of my one-on-one clients and people just starting out that are having trouble just getting used to the feel of oil paint. Like maybe they're coming from acrylics or watercolors and they just want to really get a handle on the paint and how it moves, how it builds, working thin to thick. And we discovered that simplifying everything and getting rid of as much unnecessary factors as possible really helped them focus and zero in on just handling the paint. So we took away color. I'm just using black and white. You can use any color you want. You can use burnt sienna, burnt umber, blue, dark red. I just highly recommend using a darker color. That will give you a wider range of values to use. Like if you started with a really bright yellow, you're not gonna be able to get that dark of a color. Now the other big thing is I'm not using any medium. Now this isn't something by any means I want you to get used to doing. But I know adding in this element of medium can kind of throw people for a loop and they don't know when to use it. The last thing I want you to do is use medium just for the sake of using it and not exactly know why you're using it. So we're gonna get rid of the medium. You're just gonna be using paint thinner and paint. And hopefully by doing this exercise, you get a sense of kind of where you would have used the medium. I feel like this is a good transitional step from acrylics to oils. So I hope you enjoy. All right, so I just kind of mixed up a gray here, kind of the middle value. And I'm gonna lay in my pear. Actually, I'm just gonna kind of figure out where to put the edge of the table sitting on. I got that there. I'm working on a big canvas pad, so it's not a clear-cut canvas, so it'll end wherever it ends. So now I'm going to start sketching in sketching the pear. Not get so concerned with detail right now. Just trying to find the right shapes. You can already see I didn't bring the pear down far enough from this horizon line or edge of the table. Just bring it around there. I'm not worried about it looking pretty. Just want to find the right placement. And use, I just got a little more black to just kind of indicate this darkest section there. I always kind of like to think of this as taking notes in a way. Sometimes you need to do stuff that will probably only make sense to you, but it just helps you. Like I'm just kind of, indicating this background. It just helps me see what's going on really. It's looking about right. A little shadow down here. Just trying to make marks where I feel like things should be. Every bit of information helps you make decisions. All right. When we look at the pear, if you squint your eyes, the pear is all pretty much a gray. You know, there are highlights, there are shadows, but if you just had to compare it, and you just had to break the whole picture into 3 values, your background would be definitely your darkest value, the white table, and then your pear. So let's get all of those in. Keeping the paint thin. Get this value in. You know, we're just taking it one step at a time. Not even worrying about shadows or highlights right now. Just the main basic values. Let's put in this background. And I'm, you know, just thickening the paint up by using less paint thinner as I need. All right. I almost forgot to put the stem in. That is gray too. And now for the white table. Now it's white, but it's not all the way white. I don't want to just leave it white, so we're going to make it lighter. Now see, we're making this pretty light without, you know, going straight to white. But I can already see that I didn't make my pear dark enough, you know. Just fine. Can darken in our pear. Alright. So that pear, you know, this is where we're figuring out values, and, you know, squinting down, you can see, you don't even have to squint down, that your pear is definitely a lot darker than your ground here. Definitely a lot darker, but it's not right now, so I need to fix that. Because I want to get this right. Now it's looking a little better. Alright, so then we got this shadow down here in the white. It's almost pretty much the same value as the light side of the pear here. Now these values aren't final. Like, don't think that I'm trying to get the exact final value here. I'm, you know, just trying to get ballpark, and I'm going to slowly dial it in as I go. Like now I'm going to work the kind of the shadow side. It's going to break it down. Break the pear down pretty much into two shapes. Paint's getting a little thicker, so I'm using a little less of the paint thinner. And I'm trying to get my value now. Now that I've laid in my washes, like I want to get my value from the paint. You know, less white or more white, not diluting my paint with the paint thinner to make it thinner, make it a lighter value. I don't want to do that. You know, we're kind of done with that stage of laying in the wash, and your paint should be, you know, thicker, and definitely not a wash by this point. So always be comparing your values. Like I'm looking here to here, my reference, making sure that my pear is the same degree of, you know, difference from the background as my reference photo. I know there's more going on in the shadow, that, you know, there's other things going on here, but I'm not worrying about that right now. Just want to get this in. Now, since we're working shadows, I'm going to take this opportunity to paint in this dark shadow and help define the bottom of this pear a little bit. See that shadow. Not worrying about painting out of the line, so to speak. Definitely be time to adjust and fix all that. I'm going back with a little thicker paint and just really solidify this background and this edge. I cut into the pear a little too much there. Alright, now this light side. I want to find a good general value. See how we're pretty much just getting rid of the wash? The wash was just there as kind of a placeholder. It's kind of a stepping stone to kind of get where everything should be. So you're not just working on plain, you know, white paper. So now you can see the pears like already kind of starting to take shape with just these two values. I can see a little bit of my reference here that this side of the background is a little lighter, so I'm going to put a touch of white into it. Might be hard to see on the camera. Now as I lay this in, I'm always looking around, seeing what I can adjust. I want to lay in the shadow down here and, be aware that, you're painting a shadow, but let's check, the shadow on the table here, it's a shadow, but it's still way lighter than this value here. So this means I'm probably going to have to lighten up my table a little bit to make this read as a shadow. That's what I mean when I say like push and pull, and while you work the painting as a whole. So let's just push, whoop. Probably went a little thick there, I don't want to paint that thick. I'll pull some of that off. Going back and push these lights a bit more. Now I do have this little shadow right there. You can see by lightening this up, it's going to make that shadow look like a shadow, which is what we want, but we also don't want it to be darker than our pear there. Now this base of the shadow I see is a little lighter than out here. Indicate that. I'm also paying attention to the difference between this shadow and this light in the table. Checking my reference for that. Whoopsie. Didn't do that. Now this has a soft edge. All right. Now let's start dialing in our values a little here. My light in this picture is obviously coming from, down this way. So always look for the underside. You're doing like still lifes and fruit, look for the shadows. This is why doing it with a black and white is helpful, because a lot of times it's hard to identify values with color, and like all these colors changing, it's hard to figure out what's darker and what's lighter. Now, I think I could push, it's like a shadow going on. Alright, it's getting a little darker around here. Now I'm going to be hopping back and forth from light and the shadow as I go on, and I'm just seeing like patches of value here. This needs to be a little lighter. I don't like that harsh line there, so I'm going to put a value that's between. Soften that. See, I'm changing my brush strokes up to go in the correct direction that I want. I'm thinking about laying the paint down almost like paper mache. Now there's these what I like to call shadows or highlights within the shadows. This white table is reflecting up to the bottom here. I want to get it in, but I don't want to overdo it, because I don't want to knock this out as reading still in the shadow. It's a very common mistake. People want to push it, you know, these little highlights in the shadows completely out to, you know, the highlight side of the object. Alright, I don't like this harsh line. I want to soften that by putting a value in between. Noticing now that a little darker shape here. This is how like the form of the pear is by just seeing these patches of value and getting them down. Alright, I better work on the stem. I keep forgetting about that up there. Okay. Now I'm going to move down to a smaller brush so I can start working some detailers, getting a little more precise with my shapes. I'm going to kind of change the angle here. Okay. I'm going to soften this harsh line a little bit. I'm going into a little more highlights now, adding more white to my paint. Paint's getting a little thicker. Don't want to push these highlights too much. Common mistake, people see highlights and they get all excited and they make them too big. Now, I like to try and be as simple as I can. You see how that's reading as a highlight, but I'm by no means at white. And what I like to do is when I'm painting, I look and see if anything else is the value of this that is painted, so I can use this mixture wherever I see it. And go brightest highlight, which is still not pure white. Not here. It's bright, but not pure white. You know, see, now putting that in just kind of put everything in focus for me, and I see like this whole side is it's just too dark. I wanna brighten it up. And develop this shadow down here. And get rid of this harsh dark line because that's just not what's happening down there. Okay. Now it's time you can go into much detail as you like, honing things in. Go down to even smaller brush now. This is where you tighten things up. You can see that I've just been pretty much doing the same process, just smaller and smaller shapes. You know, I'm applying paint, seeing how it's working value-wise with everything, and making adjustments as I need.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Again, if you want to get these every single month, all you got to do is sign up for the Patreon. The link is in the description of this video. If you have any questions or comments, leave those in the comments section. If you want to see what I'm painting on a daily basis, you can follow me on Instagram at Forza43. I'm Chris Fornatero here telling you to go get painting.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. I also offer you this video and this video. They both will change your life forever. Just pick one. You can't go wrong.